Jayson Blair was a great tragedy of the electronic age. He really mastered the art of pretending to be where he wasn't by using the electronic tools at his disposal.
You know, none of it was rocket science. If you take a little from here, and if I steal a little from you here, and I steal a little from you here, and I steal a little from you here, no one really sees that a bunch of my stuff is stolen. They might say, ah, that paragraph's very similar, but the rest of it's different. What they don't know is it's been stolen from a bunch of different places, but it looks original because no one's seen all of it.
He would call from his cell phone and pretend to his editors that he was in the middle of a tough interview, when in fact it turns out he was in Brooklyn or Manhattan.
I also, a number of times, literally called the people. I remember one story where I was supposed to be in Hunt Valley, Maryland, about a soldier who had gone to Iraq, and it was just about how his family was coping with it. I had her describe to me, what does your living room look like? What kind of pictures are here? What color are the plants outside your house? I would just ask all the details that I would have gotten if I had literally been there.
Would a rat addict himself to nicotine? Nobody had ever done that before.
The big question was dose. How much nicotine do you give a rat? We had no idea. But we know how much nicotine a person gets when they smoke a cigarette. We reduced the dose down proportionally to the rat-sized dose. So it was like the rat was smoking a rat-sized cigarette. When the rat pressed the lever for the first time, the dose was wrong, and the reaction was violent. I needed to rethink this. I'd seen people smoke before, but I never really watched it. They puff and they puff. They puff. They smoke a cigarette over 7 minutes. We were giving our nicotine to the rats in 3 seconds. They made some adjustments in the pump so that the rats would get their nicotine periodically the same way people smoke a cigarette. Bam! The rats started pressing the switch.
Und ich darf nur rüber, wenn ihr etwas
Sonst habe ich nämlich schon vorbereitet.
So viel kann ich schon noch.
Auch fast
nicht. Da ist der Bach, da tun wir manchmal spielen. Da ist die Waldsoffe. Da am Hinweg tun wir da Kindsbändel hin und da einen Drucksäge.
You know, right out of high school, they start recruiting us to work in the tar sands. And growing up, I never knew anything about the environmental effects. When you're 16, 17, and you're getting, you know, 15 to 2,000 bucks every 2 weeks, it's like, I know what I'm gonna do. You know, you got that taste for the money. When I got in there, I was amazed, you know, mesmerized by, oh, look at this plant. Wow, it looks like a city. I remember when I first got on a heavy hauler, and this was the biggest truck in the world on the biggest construction project in history. I was just like, my holy cow, and I'm way up there, and pickup trucks were like this big. Everything is tiny, you know? I was just like, wow, this is awesome. You know, driving huge, I like driving big trucks, and I like driving trucks. I was just like, oh man, I love my job. I'll come to work, do this every day. And then it started losing its thrill.
600 miles from the Arctic Circle in northern Canada, ancestors of the Athabasca Chipewyan, Mikisew Cree, and Métis have lived for more than 10,000 years. Their boreal forest and wetlands, a diverse and fragile ecosystem, store twice as much carbon as a tropical rainforest. For millennia, the First Nations people didn't know that the land beneath their feet, where they fished, hunted, and buried their dead, would become a treasure coveted by people around the world.
It's not going to happen. We're headed into a very, very difficult time. It's going to be an extraordinarily painful transition for our species and for the rest of the natural world. That said, how painful it is and how many of us survive and how much of nature survives, all of that depends upon what we do now. So can you imagine having the opportunity of being alive at this moment in history when so much is at stake and choosing to go to sleep instead?
If you want an adventure, boy, what a time to choose to be alive, to get a chance to find out what you have inside you in terms of vitality and alertness and courage, what you have to discover in terms of what we can do together. Don't waste time in self-pity over darkness. Don't waste time trying to figure out better circumstances that you might like. You're born into this, and you're here to love it and to see that it goes on.